Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I have a box here delivered directly from Australia. This is from SMS, the Scale Modeler Supply Company. If you guys aren't familiar with the company, it was started and is run by Scott Taylor, aka the Ghost of Zeon on YouTube. I've done an interview with him, and we've recently had him as a guest on our Gunpla Talk group show. So just a little background information on the company. As I understand it, he started off just making paints. They're acrylic lacquer paints, so just lacquer paints generally, as we kind of refer to them. And he's been ever expanding that line of lacquer paints to also include like metallic colors and chameleon colors and everything all in that, and it's growing very nicely. And he's also gotten into some tools, like masking tape, brushes, and other things like that, masking putty and other things. So the thing is, though, that it's still a relatively small company and Australian based, so basically they're just serving Australia for the most part, but you are able to order from them internationally. But from what I understand, the shipping is quite expensive for that. But I have some good news, because USA Gundam Store has made an arrangement with them, and USA Gundam Store in the US obviously will now be carrying SMS products, at least for the time being. I mean, I can assume that the sales will go pretty well and they will continue to carry them on in the future, but I can't say that they will continue to carry them on forever. I'm just saying that at least for the time being, they've got a bunch of SMS products coming into USA Gundam Store, so you guys should be excited about that. Now, Scott sent me a box of some stuff to try out, so let's pop it open. It was all very nicely packed. I've just gone ahead and unpacked this. So we've got some paints here. Let's just go through the paints that he sent. We've got black and white, so there you go, you got the essentials there already covered. And we got red here, which looks like a pretty bright red. It looks like maybe comparable to almost like Mr. Color Italian red. It looks pretty bright. And then we've got here midnight blue, which is just a nice dark navy color here, which looks like it would probably be good for some like Titans color mobile suits. And then it gets a little bit more interesting here. We've got the metallic stainless steel. And if you guys are familiar with my builds in the past, you know that I don't really use metallic paints. I don't really care for them too much. So it's going to add a little bit kind of interesting aspect to this, that I have to figure out a way to use this, that I'm going to kind of enjoy that. And then this next one here, also very interesting. This is one of their chameleon colors. So this is like color shifting. This is blue purple. So as you'll look at it in the light here, you can see the color of the paint, depending on the light, will kind of shift between blue and purple. So it's a pretty cool effect. You'll paint this like over the top of either black or some other color. So those are the 6 paints that he sent me, but then he did also send a couple of brushes as well. So we've got what looks like brush 1 and brush 2, I guess is the numbering for them. Brush 1 here, it seems, is just a nice fine tipped brush, so that'll be good for like painting in small little details. It also has a pretty nice design here just to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold. I like that. And then brush 2 is just kind of your typical flat square brush here. I guess this would be for like doing your kind of main brush painting, which I don't really do, but I'm sure I can find some use for this. And the last thing here in the box is just a few SMS stickers, so those are cool, very shiny. And then an SMS little brochure here, high quality paints and consumables, so you can just see some of the stuff here: airbrush paints, metallics, pigments, brushes, masking, accessories. There's some information here, and I'm sure this is all on the website, so you guys can check that out. I'll of course have the link for this down below in the video description, but you can see here there's the website, scalemodeler with 2ls.com.au, and then you can also email them. And Scott has his own social media, and then of course the Scale Modelers supply social media pages on Facebook and things as well, so you can follow them around there. Now, the mission now is going to be painting a kit using only these colors. I'll maybe use some other different colors for like little detail painting, and if I want to do any weathering or anything like that, but for the main colors of the mobile suit, I want to try to use only these colors, and I'm going to want to try to use all of these colors on one single suit. So I've been kind of looking over the kits that I have and trying to brainstorm some ideas, because these are some pretty interesting colors. And I mean, you can obviously do some mixing and matching, so say I wanted some pink or something, it's easy enough to just mix some red and white, or mix white and black to get all sorts of different gray colors, and etc, etc. So there will be definitely some mixing going on. I'll be maybe using a few of these directly, but some of these I'll be mixing as well. So after poring over some possibilities, the kit that I've decided to paint here is the Mega Shiki, the HG Build Fighters kit, which is just kind of a variation of the Delta Gundam. So I think this will be a fun kit for a few reasons. One, just because I really like the design. I think it's really cool. Another reason is just because it should be pretty simple. There's very little seam line removal and kind of preparation involved. So this is a kit that I should be able to get into painting it relatively quickly with just a little bit of prep work. It shouldn't really take too long to get it ready. And then the third and most important reason is just considering the colors that I have to work with. I wanted something that, I mean, most importantly, it's like this blue purple color shift color is something that, you know, that's not going to work on everything. That definitely needs something kind of specific. It definitely gives like a specific tone to it, something that's kind of more shiny and kind of has a very interesting color to it, very kind of regal looking sort of. I think is ultimately the kind of effect that that's going to give, and it's not really going to work for something like a ground Gundam or something like that. Or I mean, it could if that's what you wanted to, but I don't think that's really what I have in mind. So I think this could look pretty cool as sort of, I think kind of what my plan is going to be like a Hyakushiki 2. Ultimately is kind of what it's going to be, the same model as the Mega Shiki, but just kind of based on the colors that I'm going to be using for it. I think that's probably the name that I'm going to go with for it. And I haven't exactly really decided on a color scheme actually for this kit, because I just need to do some testing. What I've seen on the SMS Facebook page, as far as like some examples using the chameleon blue purple, they're showing it painted over black, and it gives this kind of like very dark color that has like the blue purple color shift to it, which looks okay, but I don't really think I want to go that dark on this. So what I want to try is some experiments of painting this over the white as well as over the red. I think that could also maybe look interesting. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to end up looking. So let's go over to the paint booth and try some experimenting with these colors, shall we? Okay, so I think we can call that a pretty successful first test. Now, a couple things. One thing I didn't mention before is that actually these paints are pre-thinned. So if you're annoyed by thinner, or you're wondering about what type of thinner you're going to have to use with these, you don't have to worry about that at all, because you just pour it directly into the airbrush. And the other thing that I found out pretty quickly with these too is that a little paint seems to go a pretty long way. So I think these paints should last pretty long. I got some really nice coverage from these with just a very small amount of paint, so that's good. The pigment in there seems to be plentiful in that you can get really nice colors out of these. So as you saw, I tested the midnight blue, the red, the stainless steel silver, and then the blue purple chameleon mix over that. Now let's take a look at the red first. After painting, I've just drawn a line to partition this, basically to make it easier for you guys to see. So what I did was paint the whole thing in red first, which as you can see is a very nice bright red, and then I painted the front half of the spoon here with the chameleon color. So you can see it's not really obvious, but here's just the plain red, and here's with the chameleon color there. And then the last thing I did was paint this side of the spoon with the matte top coat. So as you can see, here's the difference between that color with matte top coat and then with no top coat, or I guess with a glossy top coat it would be more shiny with that. What I wanted to do is test it, because I don't really particularly want to make a kit that's like super shiny, high gloss like that. And I think like with these chameleon colors, that's probably what you're thinking is kind of what you're gonna have to do with that. But I want to experiment not doing that, so I wanted to try it with some flat top coat on top of it, and I think it looks pretty cool. The effect of that is not really all that noticeable, and when you see it in the light, it reflects that, but like in other angles, it's not really super obvious that it has that color shifting paint on there. So, and then here's just the base red with no top coat versus with just a flat top coat. It does even out, looking very, very smooth, very nice. And then here with the midnight blue, it's the exact same thing. So here's with no top coat, just plain blue, no top coat with the chameleon blue purple on there, and then here with the flat top coat and then flat top coat over the blue purple there. And I think that does look really, really quite nice with just having that dull, not quite so shiny. It makes for a really nice color. This color also much darker than it looks. Here in the bottle it looks just like a dark navy blue, but it's very, very dark. If anything, the blue purple chameleon color actually sort of lightens it up a little bit, so I actually do quite like that. And the last one here was actually most telling, so I'm really glad I did this test, and this is a good reason for why you should test. This is the stainless steel on this part, and so here it is with no top coat, just like a very bright silvery stainless steel color, and here's with matte top coat. Definitely dull to that too, sort of just very dull, kind of almost just gray, but you can tell it is still sort of metallic there a little bit. And then this half of the spoon is just the chameleon blue purple just over white, and as you can see, it doesn't really work well over white. It ends up looking kind of like orange, weird color, and you can sort of see the color shift effect, but it's basically just not effective over white at all. So I think it seems to work much more well over dark colors, and as I said, as I saw on the website, Scott gave an example of that over black, so I think it's just sort of meant to go over dark colors, but over white colors, if that's an interesting look to you, you can try that, but I'm definitely not going to use that. So first reaction to the paints, I've got to say, is quite nice. They're quite interesting. The colors go down really nice and smooth. It's pretty convenient that you don't have to thin that, so that's nice. Now the thing is that I just have to sort out a color scheme for my Mega Shiki. With the knowledge now that I've gone through some testing, I can kind of get an idea of how some of these colors are going to look. I can now sort of move forward with planning out my color scheme for the Hyaku Shiki. So I'll work on getting that guy prepped for paint, work out my color scheme, and then I'll have another work in progress video coming up for you guys in the pretty near future, so look forward to that. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do check out SMS Paints if you guys are living in the United States and you're interested in checking these out. I believe USA Gundam Store should have those in stock. I've heard by the beginning of July. Hopefully you guys can maybe get them a little bit sooner, but at the very least, at the beginning of July, you should be able to get those from USA Gundam Store. And as always, with anything at USA Gundam Store, you can use my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10% on those, so that should be nice. I know Adam at USA Gundam Store placed a big order of them, so he should have a good amount of stock for you guys at that time. So again, but I don't know how long that'll last, how popular exactly these will be, but do grab some if you look if they look interesting to you. So I have to say, just based on my first test here, I'm quite looking forward to trying out some more of these paints in the future. In the meantime, I'll get my color scheme sorted out for the Mega Shiki, and then we'll get started on that. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave any other further questions and comments you guys have down below. And again, big thank you to Scott at SMS for sending these to me. And thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.